Hey folks, welcome back. So once again, we're confronted with a large stack of stuff from Free League, the RPG publisher out of Sweden, also known as Fria Ligan, if you're so inclined, or if you speak Swedish. So I bought yet more stuff, as you might imagine, from the Midsummer Sale, which had a lot of great pieces of RPG material at 50% off. And here what you can see is basically the entire game line for Tales from the Loop. So in the previous video, we talked a bit about Things from the Flood, which is kind of the follow-up game to this. Tales from the Loop was first in line and was based on our book of the same name, again by Simon Stoltenhag. Now you can see on top here we've got a map of the area on which the game is focused, as we had in Things from the Flood. And we also have a set of dice, which are orange instead of red, but have a similar symbol here for the success as the Things from the Flood dice, but otherwise they're basically the same design, just a different color. However, we're going to look at those in a second. What I'd like to do is compare and contrast, because I know that inside the starter box, I think there is also a map of, here we have the Mälaren Islands in Sweden, which is one possible setting for the game. And on the other side we have Boulder City, Nevada, which is the US-based setting that they added for the benefit of English-speaking players who don't know or don't want to know much about setting a game in Sweden. So there you go. But I think there's another copy of both the set of dice and this map in the starter set. But the starter set was made earlier. You can see here, they note that it's now on Amazon Prime as a original series. And I've heard pretty good things about it. I haven't yet seen it, actually. I wanted to wait to get to the game before I sort of started doing that. So I understood a bit of the background. So soon I will be indulging, and my partner and I will take a look at the original series. I think it's more of an anthology-style thing, where each episode was done by different directors, so that often can be pretty interesting as well. Kind of episodic stories rather than a serial plot line, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So as far as I understand it, the starter set came out first originally, and it won a lot of awards, as you can see. So best game, best interior art, best setting, best writing, product of the year. Not bad for the Annie Awards. So now you can step into the amazing world of the Loop in this tabletop role-playing game based on Simon Stoltenhag's books. You'll play teenagers solving spectacular mysteries connected to the Loop. Just make sure you're home in time for dinner. The starter set includes everything you need to begin. An illustrated rulebook explaining how to play the game, a complete mystery called The Recycled Boy, 5 pre-generated characters ready for you to play, a large full-color map of the land of the Loop, and 10 engraved custom dice. So that's what I want to compare, is if these dice are... my understanding is there were two designs of the dice. There was a pre-2019 design and a post-2019 design, which was made to match with Things from the Flood, which come out by that time. And I don't know which you get in the starter set. I'm kind of thinking, I mean, this will have been printed recently as well, so they may have just done the same style. But in any case, I will have plenty of dice for Tales from the Loop. So what I did was I went to the Free League sale, and they have the Gravitron Bundle for Tales from the Loop, which includes the map and dice that I showed you, the GM screen, the main core rulebook, and the Our Friends the Machines Book of Mysteries. And then the two remaining items in the line, which I did not own, I got from Magic Madhouse, which was Tales from the Loop Out of Time, another sort of mystery compilation, and this starter set. I also got the Coriolis bundle in the sale, and again I filled in the gap there, which was the final act of the 3-part epic campaign series from another store, and so we'll cover that whole line of books in my next video. And that will be the last chunk of huge amount of stuff I bought from Free League, I promise, because I don't have any more money to spend on this stuff. So here's how the cover looks without the plastic over it reflecting back at you. It looks really beautiful, as usual. Very atmospheric art. We've got a police van coming in. There's a robot doing something. Whether it's threatening or not is perhaps unsure. We have a young person here with a backpack of strange futuristic design, some sort of cybernetic wear on her arm. As usual, very atmospheric. You can see the countryside of this 1980s Sweden that never was. Alright, let's crack it open and give it a shot. As usual, the production quality seems nice from the outset. The box is very thick, very lovely. And in fact, the dice do appear to be exactly the same. The only difference being that they're in a bag instead of in this nice package with a bit of logoed cardboard on it, but otherwise 10 dice of the same design. So I just have a lot of dice. I didn't realize that in the starter set you got a full set of dice and a map, as well as the starter adventure and pre-gens and stuff. But I should have realized that. But, you know, the map and these dice came with the Gravitron Bundle, which was an extremely good deal anyway. So I got a good deal on all this stuff. I can't complain. Magic Madhouse here in the UK is having a sale as well for the summer, and a lot of great RPG stuff is on pretty good discount, so do look out for that if you are UK based. So we've got our dice. We'll take a quick look at these. Again, they are pretty much precisely the same as the dice for Things from the Flood, with the same symbol for success on the 6. Everything else is just the number indicated with this kind of circular loop around it, which fits the theme of the game, of course, because we are dealing with the loop in either Sweden or Nevada, depending on your preferences. So the nice dice definitely will set out to do what you need them to do, but you can also use regular D6s, it doesn't matter, but it's just nice to have those, you know, a little bit engraved, special looking dice. I think look cool. As always, we have a Free League Games catalog. This is from 2020 though, so we're a little out of date on that front. Then we have our map of the game area, and actually it is different because I feel like the material is that usual starter set, a little bit thicker style poster material. We have these kind of concentric rings, which I guess indicate where the different areas of the accelerator were laid down, perhaps. Accelerator Prime 1, Accelerator Tunnel P1, Accelerator Prime 2, Accelerator Aux 1. Then we have the Bonner Reactor in the center with its cooling towers. And then we have all these small communities, which I presumably is where your characters can be from. On the flip side, much the same, except once again, we are in Boulder City, Nevada. And it seems we just have one main loop traversing the area here, and then the main settlement here, Boulder City, which is then detailed further in the inset map here in the corner. So we can see there's a golf course, a park, hospital, elementary school, Wilbur Square, Boulder Theater, there's a bowling hall, police department, church, baseball field, you know, pretty much suburban Americana. And there's an airport with a helicopter sightseeing place as well. Interesting. So yeah, I feel the quality of the map is slightly better than the one I got in the Gravitron Bundle. If you looked at side to side, you can see that it's a much thicker material. So if you want the map, you know, that's a worthy bonus. I think the material they use in the starter sets is like indestructible, so very nice. Then we have our pre-gens. So in Tales from the Loop, we're kind of covering these games in reverse order, so I apologize for that. It was just the way things had worked out with when things arrived. But basically, Tales from the Loop is where you're playing as kids, aged between 10 and 15, I believe, is the upper maximum. And in this game, your characters actually can't die, as I mentioned in the previous video, whereas in Things from the Flood, they can get permanent physical or psychic scarring, or they can actually die. That can't happen in Tales from the Loop, but they can be broken, which means that they fail all their rolls because they're so busticated, either mentally or physically, and so you need to take them back to their anchor, or you need to have a leader in the group who can help them recover some conditions so that they're back in fighting shape. So each pre-gen comes with a little backstory here. This is Maria, or Kelly, I guess we're going to go American style. It's hard work being the center of attention for a whole school, but also rewarding to see the looks of admiration and jealousy as you move through the corridors. So she's a popular girl. And in fact, that is her type. She is a popular kid. She has 2 luck points because she's age 13, so like many things in the game, the way you work things out is really straightforward. So you take your age, which is between 10 and 15, and you subtract it from 15, and the number you have left is the number of luck points you start with. And you will start with those at the end of each session. You can gain them in other ways, I think, but basically if you start at age 15, you have 15 points to put among your attributes, and if you start at age 13, you have 13 points in your attributes, etc. So the younger you are, the more luck points you have, which can be really useful, but it's balanced out by not having as good core attributes, so you're rolling less dice, because you're smaller, you're not as experienced and stuff. Her drive is, this place is my home and I won't let anything happen to it. Her problem is that she's secretly in love with Tim. Ooh. Her pride is that I'm number 1. Okay, fair enough. Popular girl. Description, always the center of attention, smiling and smart. Favorite song, Take On Me by Aha. Good choice. Anchor is left blank, so I guess they want the players to fill that in for themselves. The anchor is the adult or other person that you can go back to when you're really in the shit, and they will help you sort of recover. They're the person that you trust most. Could be, you know, your mother, or it could be a certain teacher or somebody like that. Somebody that you go to when things are really bad. and they help you recover from your conditions. And here you can mark the conditions you've piled up so far. You can be upset, scared, exhausted, injured, and then finally broken if you have all your conditions filled in. And once you reach broken, you fail all your rolls automatically. So you're just basically a useless lump at that point. And then you have your skills here, which are broken out and have next to them the attribute that they go with. So, for example, if you're going to roll move to do something, you would add 1, because you have 1 skill rank, to your body attribute, which is 3, and you would roll 4 dice. And any of those that came up as 6 would mark a success, and tasks can range in difficulty just from 1 to 3. Typically, a lot of things will be 1, because it's hard enough getting a 6 most of the time. But certain tasks that you're doing under pressure or in combat or something, you might get a 2 or even 3 if you're fighting something very powerful or if you're under a lot of pressure. In the same way, we have sneak, force, and move under body. We have tinker, program, and calculate under tech. We have contact, charm, and lead under heart, and investigate, comprehend, empathize under mind. So she's focused on heart, being the popular kid mostly. So she's got some decent contacts that can help her. She's got a great deal of charm, and she's got the leadership ability, which is really good for helping other kids out when things get bad. And as you gain experience, you can tick these boxes as well, and use XP to buy yourself skill ranks and stuff like that. Her iconic item is her makeup box, which, if it's relevant to a task, will give you a +2 bonus to your dice pool. So that's pretty cool. And the hideout is the treehouse in Maria's garden. Yeah, and so the core attributes as well: body, tech, heart, and mind. Pretty self-explanatory. Body is to do with like athleticism and physical tasks. Tech is dealing with technology and can include things like programming, bits of technology, performing calculations, stuff like that. Heart is about sort of charm and attractiveness to other people. So that's, contacting people, how much people think you're a leader, and how much charm you have over others. And mind is your ability to comprehend, to empathize, and to investigate. So there you go. So there's Maria, our popular kid. And this is her secret love, Tim, or Timmy, if you want to be American style. They say a rat doesn't have any human feelings, but your pet rat sometimes seems to be the only one in the world who really understands you. During the weeks when your mom drinks, school and all its meaningless relationships and hierarchies just goes by in a haze. The bullies have tried to get at you by calling you rat boy, but you take it as a compliment. Wow, okay. So, Tim, or Timmy, is the weirdo. I love that type. Okay, so you can see he's not much for body. He's not a tough guy. He's only got a 1. He's also a little bit younger than Maria at age 12, but he's really good with tech, heart, and mind in comparison. So most of his points have been put in those 3 areas. He starts with 3 luck points because of his lower age. His drive is he's drawn to secrets and strangeness, so he loves investigating these things, which is fortunate because it's an investigation-based game. Problem is that he's secretly in love with Maria. So mutual unrequited love, I guess. He takes pride in the fact that he's different. He's a skinny boy dressed in strange clothes. That's his basic description. His favorite song is Tainted Love. Well, it's another good choice of 80s music. And Anchor is again left blank for the player to fill in. So relationships, I didn't note this in the previous one, but each kid has a way they feel about each other in the group. And then key NPCs, you might fill in some details about their relationships as well. And then we have, again, our condition tracker, which of course starts out empty. Skill-wise, he's got a couple of points in sneak, which is helpful. 1 point in move, also often useful. And then for investigate, he's got a +3 for his skill, and he's got a mind of 4, so that'll give him 7 dice already in that. In comprehend, he's got a 1 there, but with empathize, he's got another 3, so he'll roll 7 dice on that as well. So he's definitely one that you want on your side in an investigation game like this. Again, they all hide out in the treehouse in Maria's garden, and his iconic item is his rat Oscar. So if he's relevant in some particular situation, you can get a +2 bonus. It's pretty cool. And then we have Frederick, or Chad, if you want to go American. You see, I think, personally, again, if it's a Swedish game, I want to run it in Sweden, so I'm going to go with Frederick for this one. Sometimes it feels like your love is only a joke to Maria, as if she's only pretending to love you back. But it doesn't matter. Whatever happens, you will make her see that the two of you are meant to be together. And it's nice to hang out with her and Tim and her friend Linda and Maria's younger sister Isabella, but you wish there was a little more time for the 2 of you to be alone. Interesting. Okay. So there's definitely some complexities in the relationship between these kids. So Frederick, he's a jock type, so he's much more physically oriented. And you can see that he's got a body of 5 to reflect that. A tech of 2, he's not really good with programming things. But heart and mind is in 3, which is pretty decent. He's age 13, like Maria. His drive is he wants to impress Maria. His problem is, I think my father is having an affair with Pele's mother. Wow, okay. Pride, look at my bicep. So watch out for his guns. They're coming for you. All right, description: tall and strong, dressed in sportswear. His favorite song is Sweet Child of Mine. The anchor, once again, is blank. And Maria, he considers the love of my life, but she secretly loves him. So there you go. Already controversy. In his attributes, as a jock, he focuses more on body, but he does have a couple of points in contact, which is based on heart. So I think his ability to lead a team on the hockey arena has transferred into him having lots of friends on the team and some popularity in school. That gives him some useful context when needed. Got a 1 in program and in tinker, so I mean he can do a little bit of messing about with technological items. So he does have some degree of intellectual curiosity, but it doesn't match his athleticism, which is enormous. So with force and move type tasks, he would be rolling 5 + 3 or 8 dice. And if he's doing something relevant with his hockey stick, he gets +2 bonus to his dice pool, which is great. Hockey stick makes a good weapon, so definitely one to have around you when things go south. So there you go, that's Frederick, or Chad. And then we have Isabella, or Patricia. So this is Maria's little sister, they keep saying, as if you're not your own person. And yet it's nice to be Maria's sister. Everybody smiles at you and wants to be your friend. And it feels exciting to know that they can't imagine who you really are, all the secrets you have. Not that you have many, but you could have. Though there is that one thing you'd rather not let anyone else know. You can't seem to stop stealing things. Wow, all right. So that makes her a what? Oh, she's a computer geek. Interesting. So she's only 10, which is the minimum age in the game. That gives her 5 luck points, which is massive. Luck points basically let you completely redo a roll, so they can be super, super useful when you have a bad turn of the dice. And they replenish again, I think, at the end of each session. So she gets a lot of rerolls, basically, in a given session. And you don't roll dice that much in this game. I mean, you roll them when the outcome is uncertain, if you're under pressure, or if the outcome would be interesting, basically. If you have the skill, if somebody in your group has the skill and you have the time, for example, to do a tinker-related task or a programming-related task, they can just do it. They don't need to roll the dice. But if you're under time pressure, or somebody's attacking you, or you're running from something, then you would roll the dice and see how you're doing. So having a lot of rerolls can be super, super useful. So luck points do come in handy. I wouldn't underestimate their usefulness. So she has a 1 in body because she's just a tiny little kid. The age of 10. She's got a tech of 5, so she's really good with computers. Hence her type. She's got a 2 in heart, so she's not super, I guess, into social circles and so on. But she's got a 3 in mind, so she's a pretty reasonably smart cookie. Her main drive is she loves to solve mysteries. Her problem is to keep stealing things. She has pride in the fact that she's smarter than you, a bit sort of Sheldon Cooper there. Her description is a small girl with red hair and braces, and her favorite song is Don't Worry, Be Happy. Well, that's quite sweet. Her relationship, she thinks Maria is her amazing sister. That's very sweet. Tim, he's creepy, but I like him. Frederick, what an idiot. Linda, she's seen me steal things. I must make her like me. Oh, okay. And Pele, I am secretly in love with him. Wow, lots of secret love. Skill-wise, of course, we see she has great numbers in program and calculate. So she can roll 8 dice on those tasks because of her 5 in tech. She's also got a 1 in tinker, which combined with the 5 in tech still gives her a good 6 dice pool, so that's pretty good. And she can sneak a little bit because she's smaller, I guess. And she's got 2 points of skill rank in comprehend, which can be handy if you're trying to understand some clues to a mystery. And if it's relevant to a calculation, she has her pocket calculator, for which gives her a +2 bonus. So that will help her even more in certain program or calculate related tasks. So definitely a great add-on to the team. And then finally, is that finally? Yes. We have Linda. The counselor at school told you that it's normal for parents to start acting strange when one of their kids dies, and you get that. How long will it last? In your house, there are only 2 sounds to be heard. The scratching from your pencil on the paper when you do your homework, and the barks from your dog Max. It feels like living in a tomb. Yikes. Okay, that's pretty dark. All right, so she's a bookworm, age 13. She thus has 2 luck points due to her age. Her drive is she wants to focus on something else. Makes sense. Her problem is that my brother died in an accident, which is very horrible, so I empathize with that. Her pride is that she keeps going no matter what. There you go. Description-wise, she's a tall and sad girl with a nervous smile. By the way, I do think they've done a great job with the illustrations for these kids as well. Really give you a sense of who they are. Her attributes, she's got only a 1 in body, but a 3 in tech, and a 4 in heart, and a 5 in mind. So all the book reading has done her very well as far as enhancing her brain. And you see that reflected in her skill ranks. So she's got a point each in Tinker and Program, 2 in Calculate, which is useful. And then she's got 2 in Investigate, 3 in Comprehend, and 1 in Empathize. So she's very good at the thinking side of things. And her iconic item is her dog Max, her loyal pet, who gives her a bonus of +2 in relevant situations. I'm sure he'd be very protective, for example, if you were into some kind of physical confrontation or running from something, he would protect you. So good to have your faithful hero dog by your side. So yeah, it seems like Maria is kind of the centerpiece of the group. A lot of people like her because she's popular, but she also is good friends with people like computer geeks and tech nerds and her little sister. So kudos for that. So we got a nice selection of, how many kids is that? Yeah, we got 5 different kids altogether. So you could have a full game of 5 players plus GM if you wanted to, or you could have as few as 3 if you like. Then we have the Recycled Boy, which clearly states is for the Game Master only. Oops, I bumped the camera, so sorry about that. So we get 2 pamphlets then. This is the included adventure, and then we have the rules. And here we see the symbol again, which is on the dice to reflect a success. We'll quickly flip through to just see what the adventure looks like in general terms. We've really got this lovely orange theme running through it here. We're going to have some nice GM-oriented tips in these side boxes, you know, how to set the scene, what to do before you start so you're ready, and so that your players are kind of getting in character. Then mini versions of the maps of the 2 main areas, an overview of the main scenario locations and how they're connected to each other, which is very helpful. And then you start getting into mysteries and trouble and finding clues, checking out different locations. And there's some handouts in here as well, which you can give out using the PDF version, which is handy. We've got a letter there as well, got a sailboat. Yeah, so it should be good for a nice session of play that introduces you to the feel of Tales from the Loop. I think it's very interesting, this game, because you know there are a lot of people who, especially people who play like old school D&D or whatever, they'll think, oh, you can't really have a meaningful game if your characters don't die. And this game, to me, really disproves that, because if your character is broken, it's a really big deal. It really hurts the group. The game really rewards having a team that can cover all different possible situations that you'll encounter during a mystery. When somebody is broken, it's a big problem. You've got to stop what you're doing. You've got to try and get them back in the action as quickly as possible. And quickly, especially, you know, when you're at the end of a scenario or you know, you're coming to a big climax, you really want to try to avoid accumulating more and more conditions. And every time you miss a crucial roll, you might want to push it, which will lead to you gaining a condition. So there's always interesting choices to be made in this game. When the dice need to come out, you know, they come out for a reason, and you have, you know, some interesting choices to make along the way. So that, to me, couldn't ask for more with a game like this. And you do change, you know, as a result of your adventures. So, you know, death is not a part of it because, you know, nobody wants to have a game where a 10-year-old girl dies at the table and you have to reckon with that. It's kind of gross. But as I say, Things from the Flood, you can have kids die in that game. It's quite difficult for that to happen. They have to get a lot of conditions inflicted, which then become scars, which then eventually raise your chance of dying at the end of a given scenario, but it can happen. So I think it's a nice progression. You know, Tales from the Loop has a bit more innocence to it, a bit more of like, you know, first season of Stranger Things kind of vibes. And Things from the Flood, the stakes are higher. Things have changed in the environment around you, around the loops, since the original game. So the two as a pair work really well together. And as always, they're linked together by the beautiful art of Simon Stoltenhagen. The rules in this booklet, as you can see, are very easy to take in, very straightforward. The Year Zero system is being used in its best shape here. They give you some helpful things as well, like timeline of science in this version of the world. Things like 8 tech companies that existed at the time, 10 80s movies that were popular and the year they came out. And just to give you that bit of flavor. So some things that we know from the 80s are still around, pop culture stuff, but the progression of science and culture was affected quite differently by the sort of science fictional elements that came in to society. You have 10 hit songs, which you might choose from for favorites if you build your own characters. Karma Chameleon, who could forget that? Final Countdown, that might be mine. I love that song. And then we have the kids. So they talk about some of the things we were discussing, looking through the character sheets, iconic items, gaining new items, dealing with your drives, problems, and prides, conditions and relationships. So the conditions are kind of cumulative. So if you get broken, something really bad has happened. You are mentally or physically hurt. You will automatically fail all dice rolls until healed. So you decide how much you want to play out your conditions in the scene. The game master can help you by asking questions. How do you feel? In what way are you upset? You should never be forced to play a condition if you don't want to do it. Additional conditions are cumulative. Yeah. So 2 conditions are -2. If all 4 conditions are marked and you take another condition, you are then broken. That's where you reach the automatic failure level. And then trouble. So this is what happens when difficulty strikes. So here's some examples of typical troubles. Someone is standing outside the entrance and will see you if you try to enter. So you need to sneak past someone. A bully throws a bottle at you. An old man's dog is sick and frothing at the mouth. Mom refuses to let you go out, so you got to sneak out. Your parents are arguing. The car drops you off, and it's a long way to walk home in the middle of the night. Your classmates don't believe you. He looks at you as if he sees you for the first time. Now you have the chance to tell him how you really feel. Interesting. The robot attacks you with its claw, or a portal opens with a deafening roar, and everything in the room is sucked toward it, including you. So in all these cases, you would start rolling dice because you're in conflict with something in the scene. Either you're rolling perhaps an opposed roll against another person, even another PC, or you're rolling against a threat. So that could be something like this robot threatening you with his claw, for example. They give you, of course, plenty of examples, how you put together your dice rolls, how items and pride work into it, and how you use luck points. So, as stated, luck point lets you reroll failed dice without needing to push, but you can't spend more than one luck point on a single dice roll. And your maximum number of luck points is equal to 15 minus your age. And after each play session, you recover your luck points. You can't save them between sessions. You just go back to your default number. So then it gives you some description about difficulty levels. Some skills let you ask questions, so they help the game master decide how truthful or useful they need to be. So they must be truthful, but they can be vague or, they can't be sort of half-truths, but you don't necessarily have to give every last detail. You don't want to solve the mystery for them. And if you score more successes than you need, leftover successes can be used to buy beneficial bonus effects, and such effects are described for each skill. And you can see that in the skills section here. So, for example, if you're using force with body, so lifting heavy things, fighting, and enduring physically stressful situations, bonus effects might be to give a success to another kid, impress, frighten, or humiliate someone, pin your opponent to the floor, take something from your opponent, knock your opponent completely unconscious. You don't need to roll to overcome the same trouble in the future, or you avoid any collateral damage, so you have a very precise attack. If you're doing a move task, so climbing high, your balance, running fast, or chasing, again, a bonus effect could be given to another kid. You can impress someone, or you can make sure that you get away with it sneakily, so the exact opposite of that. And there, of course, those are not the only possible effects. You can come up with your own. Just make sure you do it with the agreement of the GM. Yeah, and they give those kind of examples for all different types of effects of different skills, which is very nice. So they really, it's a pretty comprehensive summary of the basic rules. It's just, you're missing the lore and stuff that's in the main book, but really, it's got everything that you need to get started, and then some. It's a very easy to grasp system. As usual, the quality of all the materials is great. These character sheets are a lovely thick paper, nice and glossy. I think they feel like they're laminated. You could probably do some dry erasing, for example, when you fill in your anchors and stuff. You've got everything you need to play the character. You've got name, background, everything filled in, except for the anchor. And you've got a beautiful high-quality map, as you would expect in any starter set for Free League. So applause to them for another finely executed box set, and I got it at a very deep discount, so I'm very pleased with that. Now we'll take a quick look at the GM screen. So as with Things from the Flood, it's a deluxe GM screen for the Tales from the Loop role-playing game, made of 3 sections of 3mm thick hardback, measuring a mighty 85.2016 millimeters when unfolded. The outside features beautiful full-color artwork by Simon Stollenhag, and the inside contains charts and tables for easy reference during play. As always, I expect this screen to be quite beautiful and extremely sturdy, as is everything made by Free League. And I feel they've really been that way since the start. Everything I own from them that I've gotten from the sale has been truly beautiful in terms of layout, presentation, readability, artwork, everything. The atmosphere, the rules content, everything is laid out with such care. It just feels like they really enjoy what they're doing. There have been some concern recently that they're taking on too many properties with a license, but I think they're doing all right. Today, for example, they just announced 2 great new products coming out for Blade Runner. There's going to be a book all about replicant culture and the replicant underground. You can even play as a part of that underground if you want to. And there's going to be another box set mystery following on from the fantastic contents that we saw from the first one. So, in the meantime, we've also got another full-length campaign coming out for Vaesen, and, they're keeping everything live and moving forward, and what more can you ask for? So this is just a kind of advertising promo sheet. The screen itself is actually, it's quite dark. I wonder if I turn up the lights just a tiny bit. Excuse me a moment. That might be a bit too much. There we go. So it is quite a reflective surface, so I do apologize for that. But we'll take a look at the artwork in its full context. You can see, oh, that's lovely and atmospheric, isn't it? We've got a couple of houses here lit up in the evening. We've got some street lamps, some eerie kind of green light. We've got some floating magnetrine ships in the sky there. You know, the background obscured by mist, fog, and the shadows of nighttime. And then we've got what looks like perhaps a parent-type figure, a car, another person lurking out here at nighttime. So it really gives you a vibe again of that kind of, this sort of odd feeling of, you know, this is a place that could have been but wasn't, which I really enjoy about these Simon Stollenhag illustrations. Then on the rules themselves on the screen, so we have, again, a nice reminder of the general structure of the types of scenes you can have, what locations do in the game, so they either have a clue and or possible trouble, which could lead to rolls, or definite trouble, which could require a roll. And clues should reveal something about the mystery, what will happen, how to solve the problem, how to use a machine, what's happened, blah, blah, blah. It also reminds you of the conditions. Broken, leading to automatic failure, suffered when receiving a condition after the other 4 are already checked. So you can check each condition only once, and then when you have all 4 checked, you are broken and need to recover in some way. And recovery demands physical or mental closeness to somebody. So that could be 2 or more kids together in a hideout, which allows you to recover all your conditions. With your anchor, in an everyday life scene with an NPC, so that'd be whoever your anchor is, you know, your mom, your teacher, or whatever. Or it could be from a lead role. So Maria, our leader kid, popular kid, she have a scene with one of the kids to help them recover 1 or more conditions according to the outcome of her lead role. Then it reminds you how to do your dice rolls. So the default is the attribute plus skill, and then you will add applicable bonuses. So if you're using your iconic item, then you'd add +2 for that. If you're using a regular item, from +1 to +3. If it's applicable, help from other kids will gain you a +1, but the helper is also bound by the result, so be careful of that. Help from the lead skill would be plus dice assigned from the dice pool. Help from a bonus effect would be +1 when a previous roll provides information or help. Then we have the difficulty settings, which are 1 to 3. NPCs, machines, or creatures can have a special attribute difficulty between 1 and 3 that states how many successes are required to overcome the NPC when the special attribute is applicable. You can also adjust the roll in different ways, so you can push the roll, where you reroll all failed dice that are not 6s, and the kid must take a condition. You can only do that once per roll. You can use your pride, so you get automatic success or 1 extra success. Notice that the teenagers in Things from the Flood, instead of pride, it's your shame that you would use in this situation. You may use only after a failed roll or any push roll, and you can use the roll only once per mystery. So not just once per session, once per mystery. Luck points, you can reroll all failed dice that are not 6s, and you can use after a failed roll, but only once, and you don't gain a condition. So that's the major benefit of having lots of luck points. Success, meaning the kids overcome the trouble. If you have extra successes than what you need, you get more than what you ask for. And so you can look through the guide in the rule summary to determine what that bonus effect might be, or you can come up with something yourself, and if the GM agrees, then you'll get it. If something bad happens because you failed, then the GM will decide. You might get a condition, maybe the trouble gets worse, you might suffer a complication of some kind, or a new trouble appears, as well as what you're already facing. Then we have summaries of the attributes and skills. So body, what that means, and the 3 skills beneath it. Sneak, force, and move. Tech, plus tinker, program, and calculate. Heart, plus contact, charm, and lead. Mind, which includes investigate, comprehend, and empathize. Kids' problems. So GMs should put kids in trouble based on their problems. So that'll be things that you find on the character sheets again. So kids might get in trouble because, Maria's little sister likes to steal stuff. So maybe that gets them in trouble, If a problem is solved, the player picks a new one for the next session. So if you cure yourself of your kleptomania as little sister, you'll get a new problem for the next session. You never go without problems entirely. In a kid versus kid roll, then the GM will decide which skills to use, and all kids roll their dice. All involved kids may push their rolls. Kids with the most successes wins. If there's no winner, each kid may check conditions. Each condition checked gives an extra success. If it's still a tie, then something interrupts the situation. As with Things from the Flood, you can have extended trouble, which involves teamwork between all the kids. They have to make a plan together, and each kid acts out and rolls for their actions. If they manage to reach the total threat level, which is determined in the table here, then they overcome that huge trouble. And then on the final panel, we have outcomes. Oh, that's for the threat level thing. There we go. Then we have building an item, which you can do using Tinker or Program. Success creates an item with a +3 bonus. Examples of what might be needed include a certain item, a successful Calculate, Comprehend, or Tinker roll, a lot of time, and some tools. Bonus effects gives you a nice summary here of possible bonus effects for every skill. So if your player is struggling to think of how to use a bonus success, you can always give them those suggestions, which are pulled from the core book. So again, another really beautiful, really useful GM screen, as is classically the case with Free League. So kudos on that once again. Then we have the gorgeous core rulebook. I love the cover for this. Once again, we can see what I assume are the cooling towers for the reactor at the center of the loop. We've got a gang of kids, all with their different backpacks and bikes and so forth, heading towards them, ready to investigate a mystery, and the role-playing in the 80s that never was. On the back, we have the key features, so you can create your own player characters. I don't think you have the actual character creation chapter in the starter game. You just give you enough information to use the pre-gens. But here you do have everything you need to create kids of your own. You explore the secrets of the loop in 2 main game settings, one based in the Swedish Mälaren Islands, the other in Boulder City, Nevada. You investigate mysteries and overcome trouble using fast and effective rules. And there's 4 complete scenarios included, tied together in the campaign named 4 Seasons of Mad Science. So just like things from the Flood, you already start with, if you have the starter set, you get a mystery in there, then you get 4 more in the main book. Then, as you see, I've got 2 more books of mysteries here as well. So there's loads to play out of the box with this game if you're not good at setting up your own mysteries. But I think, if you have a group of kids, you get a bit of experience, get a bit older, and they stick together as a group around the table, you could easily start to play on their drives and their problems to create interesting mysteries as you get more familiar with the setting. So TOC-wise, we get an intro to the loop, the age of the loop in Chapter 2, the US loop in Chapter 3. Then we get all the things we need to know about making our kids, which is one of the bigger chapters. Then trouble and how we use our skills to overcome them. Then how you set up and solve mysteries. Again, very useful for the GM. Then we have the mystery landscape. Again, similar to things from the Flood, of course, because they're basically very similar games, just with some additions and subtractions in certain cases. And then we have the 4 Seasons of Mad Science. So from page 113 all the way up to the end of the book, basically, we've got a massive campaign, which is awesome. That's one of the nice things about this system. You don't need a lot of pages to explain it. They still, nevertheless, give you plenty of examples of play all along the way. Lots of helpful sidebars. Give you bits of lore, the principles of running the game, additional background stuff. You've got beautiful artwork and layout throughout. I love this orange theme. Orange is my favorite color in the universe. So seeing that as part of such a central part of the game design is lovely, including on the dice, as well as the core book here. I mean, Simon's illustrations are nothing less than stellar, in my opinion. And I can certainly see how these narrative art books he created would have inspired a desire for a role-playing game in that setting. We've got the Swedish version of the loop. There you go. Another beautiful illustration with the cooling towers there. Then we've got little descriptions of areas in and around the mystery zone that you're in, the types of civilian technology that are available in this alternative 80s. That includes these robots and flying ships and so forth, and the magnetrine flying ships. So there's a little advert here that explains how it works. From Liber Alta, we make dreams take flight. There you go. Then we have the US setting, which was added for the English version of the game. I think it's great that they've done that. For the Anglosphere that wants to adopt this game, it's really nice to be able to adapt it so easily to US context. But again, for me, I would preferably run it in Sweden because, it's a mystery-related game. Why not play it in a mysterious place as well? And it was originally Swedish. The illustrations are intended to present a 1980s Scandinavia that never was, so I would prefer to stick with that. But if players really struggle to identify with the Scandinavian setting, then I would, of course, would have no problem switching to Nevada City if that was the preference. But so it's great that they've done both. Basically, it just adds the accessibility of the game. Now we have our character creation guide, and we start with our types. So we've seen a few of these in the pre-gens in the starter set. The Bookworm, who focuses on comprehend stuff. We have Computer Geeks, of course. Then we have Hicks. So their iconic items can be things like German Shepherds, crowbars, or tractors, like that. And we've seen the Jock already, which in this case, once again, is a hockey player. This is a game based in Sweden, after all, where hockey is a big, big deal. Got the Popular Kid, who looks very cool. We got the Rocker, the little bit alternative, edgy person. Then we've got our troublemaker, the bad seed, the bad influence. And then the poor weirdo exiled from the various cliques at school. And of course, we have one of those in our starter set as well. So then your age will help you determine your attributes and your luck points. And then basically you get additional points then to build into your skills. And you'll generally want to focus those in areas where you have strong attributes. So then, of course, you get bigger dice pools, more chance of rolling in success. And then basically it reminds you of the use of items, but it must be obvious how it is used to in the situation to get a bonus. So if you have a skateboard for a move action, that makes sense. But if the move action is climbing a tree, it doesn't make any sense. So the GM should, not allow those kind of usages. The iconic item is different, and that gives a bigger bonus. And it works the same as other items, but the main difference is that it kind of defines a bit of who you are. So you want to think about what your iconic item could be. It could be one of the suggestions in the archetypes themselves, but it doesn't have to be. It can be something you create yourself as well. But it will always be adding +2 when relevant rather than +1. You can gain new items by finding or building things, training creatures to get new items during a mystery, and you can get a bonus from +1 to +3, depending on how powerful it is deemed to be. Often items that can be encountered are described in the mystery itself. You can lose items as well. Animals can run away or die. Inventions can break. Police can collect a robot that you were using. You may have to swap one item for another for different reasons. Bullies might take them from you. Lots of ways you can lose things. But you can always find another one or build them as well. So then it talks about the kid's problems, drives, and prides, and relationships, and anchors. And basically, the anchor is really important. It can be a friend, a parent, a teacher, or a neighbor. It cannot be another kid. It has to be somebody else. If you suffer from one or more conditions, you can spend a scene with your anchor and heal all conditions. You must allow them to take care of you, and there must be a physical or mental closeness between you. The game master is not allowed to put you in trouble in this scene. But if you put yourself in trouble somehow, you don't heal any conditions, so don't do that. Here's some typical NPC relationships related to everyday life. So to give you some examples. Then it explains conditions, gaining experience. So typically at the end of the session, you'll get experience points. And these can be used to raise skills. It costs 5 XP to raise a skill by 1 level, and 5 is the maximum level in any skill. And there's more about that in Chapter 6 once again. And again, we have a chapter on trouble. So overcoming obstacles. You can see this is pretty much the same as what's in the starter set, just a bit extended. It also includes chances to succeed given the number of dice you're rolling, either in a regular roll or in a push roll, and that's really, really handy. So if you want to kind of really think about a decision whether you need to push a critical roll or not and whether it's worth it, reference page 70 in the core rulebook, and you'll find that table. Very, very, very useful. I noticed that kind of thing existing in several other Free League games as well. I think it's fantastic. Then we get our explanation of all the skills. Then we get into the mysteries pretty quickly. So here we're talking about the basic structures of mysteries, individual and group scenes, how you progress through the story, set up relationships between clues, and meeting your opponents in a showdown, and then the aftermath of the story, setting the mood along the way, creating personalities and bringing your humans, creatures, and machines to life as NPCs, describing relationships for bigger mysteries and campaigns, which can be obviously pretty complicated, as you can see. Yeah, and then we got some lovely little black and white illustrations of some typical stuff that you can find around the area of the loop in this part of the world. So you get these locomotive ships, magnetrine floating things. You've got a service module that is for maintenance of flux stations and bodies of water. You've got a measurement station dotted all over the landscape. They're called penguins by locals because of their shape. We've got cable maintenance vehicles. We've got the Iwasaka Spider Probe robot. We've got the Corsair Delta, one of the most beautiful magnetrine ships in use today. A handful are operated by the Defense Forces and the Coast Guard. Then we have the Iwasaka SBR, which is that big walker that we've seen in a few of the illustrations. It was adopted for civilian use in the mid-1970s, and a handful were operated by Rix Energy as service vehicles well into the 80s. We've got even more stuff. We've got Parhofer autonomous patrol units. So these tall robots are used for guard and patrol duties. We have Vectra ATV all-terrain vehicles. Got Vectra land train for civilian and military purposes. Wow. Okay. Then we got some description of dinosaurs for some reason. I assume that'll come into play during the mystery. Oh, I love that. That's a very interesting illustration. That one. What the heck kind of vehicle is that? A big wheel thing. That's fascinating. Yeah, I mean, the illustrations throughout just fire my imagination. I really do love them. So then we get into the mysteries themselves. And I'm just going to merrily flip through these. We'll look through some cool illustrations, maps, and so forth. But yeah, once again, we have a full campaign. You know, we got maps, we got handouts, we got clues, we got NPCs, we got tons of locations to visit, loads of clues to put together. You know, we've got deck plans for a Magnetrine ship. I mean, you know, great that this is right there in the core rulebook. Definitely I'm going to ask my players to not read the latter part of these core rulebooks when they buy them to play during the game. But yeah, I mean, tons of stuff in there to make it easy for the GM to jump in with some read aloud text as well. Yeah, fantastic. So chapter 12, we get to the end of this multi-mission campaign. Then we have a huge list of Kickstarter backers. Myself not among them because I didn't know about Free League when this game came out. I was sadly uneducated. And then we have a Tales from the Loop character sheet, which you can see is almost identical to things from the Flood, but with a few differences. So, you know, instead of shame, we have pride. And, you know, we have scars as well available in things from the Flood, which can lead to character death or permanent psychological or physical disfigurement, which doesn't happen to these lucky kids in Tales from the Loop. But yeah, otherwise, you know, we've got the same basic system in place, so you can very easily jump to things from the Flood from Tales from the Loop, and you can do so in a kind of organic way. You know, once your kids, go through a year of campaign, maybe they've all aged into the level where it's time to move into the world with teenagers in the 90s, and you can hop over to things from the Flood. So again, beautiful core rulebook, everything you need, and then some to start a fantastic campaign. And if you exhaust that campaign, the Gravitron Bundle also includes this book, Our Friends the Machines and Other Mysteries. I don't know a hell of a lot about what's in here, to be honest. I do know that it's set in a new location, the Norfolk Broads in England, which is interesting. So we have a map of this new mystery area. There's a loop there as well. Again, with several loops, not just one. So there is going to be some intro to the new setting. And then we get right into it with Our Friends the Machines. And at the end of each mystery, it looks like we've got possible change for the PCs and any NPCs and creatures that are relevant. So let's just flick through a little bit. Once again, you know, the missions are laid out very clearly. We've got some kind of badass battle mechs here. That's pretty cool. You got sketches, of course, of the NPCs. We've got iconic illustrations from Simon along the way. I don't know what's wrong with these pigs, but they don't look normal. Then we've got Horror Movie Mayhem. And this looks to be, I guess, in the Mullerin Islands, or perhaps, I think actually they give you the option to set these anywhere. So you can be in the Norfolk Broads, or they tell you how to set them in the other settings if you don't want to move your characters over there. So it's just nice to have that option for another location. And once again, you know, the usual ingredients. I think the adventures from Free League are really top quality. They give you really clear ideas of how to run the mystery, you know, what kind of is there to put pressure on the characters, how the NPC should behave and react in key situations, what the clues are that are most important, where they can be found, maps of key locations, and all throughout, you know, this beautiful layout and artwork. I mean, it really is beautiful to behold. Then we have a mixtape of mysteries. I think this is, yeah, so there's 8 locations that can be used as a mystery landscape, but can also be extended into a series of mystery stories or tied together into a campaign. Each of these sites is inspired by a famous 1980s song. Interesting. Yeah. Okay, so these are some short adventures that are based on 80 songs like Every Breath You Take, which, of course, if you really listen to the lyrics, is quite creepy. Girls Just Want to Have Fun. Another one, Where's My Mind, by the Pixies. That's a pretty cool idea. I like that. I think as well, I normally would look at the back of the book, but I was too excited, so I don't know 100%, but I think, oh yeah, now we have some blueprints of key machines as well. That's cool. We got the Alta, 72 feet high. Wow, it's huge. 21.5 meters. Autonomous firefighting machine. Cool. And then it has some suggested mystery hooks about these machines as well. Very cool. We have the Paarhofer M Mark 79 from West Germany. Again, quite big, 6.2 meters, but smaller than the other. 5 tons, maximum speed 22 miles per hour, 35 kph. And then we have some mystery seats there as well. Kind of the Leaper Alta locomotive ship, which floats on these magnetrine technology. It's 52.2 feet long, or 15.9 meters, 21.3 feet high, or 6.5 meters, weighs 65 tons, and its speed without load is 53 miles per hour. Top speed 85 kph. There you go, pretty cool. And some mystery seeds. And then we have a magnetrine cargo vessel, which is very big, 564 feet long, in fact, or 172 meters. Yeah, enormous, 25,000 deadweight tons. So it only goes 29 miles per hour. But yeah, it's pretty hefty. Then we got Hometown Hack. So, okay, so here are ways to adapt your hometown into a mystery location for Tales from the Loop, which is pretty cool. And as an example, we have the Norfolk Broads. And then it gives you a series of steps to go through how to do that. So that's pretty cool. I like that a lot. Yeah, so doing this in the wrong order, but yeah, just to note that the advertising copy on the back, the book includes Our Friends Machines, which is a mystery about product launch of a new line of action toys that suddenly takes a turn to the weird. Horror movie mayhem. The kids will investigate what is really happening in and around the local video store. The Mummy in the Mist. There are whispering rumors that it is back again, the mummy down by the lake. A mixtape filled with mysteries. So these are the 8 mysteries based on classic pop songs. Blueprints, background, and adventure hooks for 4 advanced and iconic machines from the Loop. And Hometown Hack, a guide to creating your very own setting for the game, complete with the Norfolk Broads, a UK-based Loop. And as a UK-based person myself, that's very cool. Finally, we have Out from Time. So this book I bought, again, from Magic Madhouse. And this was along with the starter set, were the bits missing from the half-price Gravitron Bundle in the Free League sale. So I just picked this up as well. So I've got the complete game line so far. But there is another campaign coming out called, I think, They Grow Up So Fast, which is coming out shortly in PDF and will be out in print in the fall, I believe. So look forward to that as well. I try to keep up with these. I will try to keep up, rather, with these Free League releases, because I think these are fantastic games. So this is a series of mysteries that lead the children into the wilderness of the Loop and into the secret tunnels. But what does all this have to do with the long-awaited summer camp, the magnetrine ship Susie Talvey, and the 1969 moon landing? I don't know. So this book includes the Animal Arc, where the kids investigate a missing pet and end up in a very strange storm. Summer camp. Summer break is finally here, and the kids are sent to summer camp. But playing and swimming quickly turn to heart-racing terror and confusion when the children wake up in a completely different summer in another time. Ooh. Storm in the Hourglass. Curious exploration leads the kids beyond the cordon to unstable bubbles of time and space, whose origins lie somewhere in the depths of the Gravitron. Then we have Secret Places, a new mystery landscape full of hooks and intriguing characters. The Mystery Machine. So create new mysteries or take a look at your growing adventure landscape via an all-encompassing scenario and character generator. Oh, that's brilliant. And then we get 8 more short mysteries based on hit songs from the 90s. So this is also compatible with Things from the Flood. Very cool. So it's kind of cross-compatible between both systems. Very nice. And on the end papers here, we have the Mullerin Islands. And on the flip side, we have the Boulder City, Nevada Loop. Since this is, again, mostly mystery stuff, we'll take a quick flip through, just look at cool artwork and stuff for a couple of minutes. There's a time paradox map. I've never seen that. It's very exciting. Got time travel researchers. Then we got some animal disappearances going on. Again, loads of tips for the DM. Key spots at each location to investigate. Bits of trouble that can be introduced. Creepy robot thing. NPCs and creatures. Then we have the summer camp mystery, which is mentioned on the back, where they wake up in a different place and time. Camp activities. All right, so we go back to the 1960s, it seems like. Pretty cool. Oh, I like that. There's a nice handout there. Am not dangerous. Have your friend. Come alone. Or else. All right. That's a bit terrifying. Again, we have our NPCs and creatures. Then we have the Storm in the Hourglass. So I think that's the last major scenario. Got a lot of locations set up in there, so it could be quite interesting. There's some big events that change the landscape. Got a lot of NPCs and creatures, including some strange technology and folks. So then we got Secret Places. So this chapter contains 9 places or phenomena that can be woven into other mystery landscapes, expanded to larger mysteries, or combined with already written mysteries. Proposals are given as to where they could be placed in the Swedish and American loop, respectively, but it is up to you as GM to actually place them where you feel they fit best. Cool. So that includes things like Secret Experiments, Flying Castle, The Isolated Fortress, The Weather Witch, Unexplained Disappearances, and then it gives some exploration of these different themes. And it includes themes both from Tales from the Loop and Things from the Flood. So the more horrific events can be conveniently placed in the 90s, where somewhat older characters are exposed to higher risk. So keep that in mind. I love that they made this book compatible with both, because my one complaint, if I were to have any, about Things from the Flood is that I wanted just more stuff. I wanted the game line to expand to the same level as Tales from the Loop. And I honestly didn't know that this book worked for both, so I'm super happy with that. That means I've got plenty to work with for Things from the Flood as well, besides the included gigantic campaign they already have. So we got adventure hooks, mystery hooks for these different things. Then we have the mystery machine. So these are tables you can be used to create mysteries for both Tales from the Flood, or Tales from the Loop and Things from the Flood. You choose which tone and threat level suits your playing style and game group, whether you want to play curious children in the loop of the 80s or teenagers looking for the truth in the gray suburbs of the 90s. Generally, the former uses more lighthearted mysteries and less dangerous antagonists, while the latter has deeper elements of horror and societal threats. So there's some core questions you want to answer about your mystery. Then you can roll double d6s to determine the antagonist. Could be human, animal, nature, machine, AI, or creature. And then your result along here will determine which of those 6 options under each category it could be. The antagonist action, so you roll a d66, so you roll 2 d6, one is the ones place, one is the tens place, basically, and then you cross-reference that result. You have a driving force and an instinct behind your antagonist, and there's a bunch of options there. Then you can roll for the mystery's basic components, so that includes things like change gravity, bubbling water, dead animals, levitations, cloning, cold spell, radiation, northern lights, cool stuff, and related societal changes. So that's pretty cool. Then you can roll for organized threats. If you want to expand a conspiracy and include a bigger organization, then you could involve, say, a foreign power, a sect or cult, Rix Energy or DARPA if you're in the US, FOA or DART if you're in the US again, Missouri Police or supernatural powers. And their involvement could be they're responsible, they're investigating, they're silencing, they're monitoring, they're causing it, or it's just accidental, just coincidence. Then introducing the mystery, determining the genre, again with D6 based tables. Then we have potential locations you can generate, both inside and out, again with a D66 table. We've got a table for names of children and adults in Sweden. Very, very useful. So you could roll D66 a couple of times and generate first and last name for boys, girls, women, and men, and then a surname. And then we have the same table again for kids in the US, if you want more westernized names, or anglicized names, I should say. And then you can even generate descriptions for key NPCs, a distinctive feature and a special characteristic. So they might be horrifying, it might be an alcoholic, it might be paranoid, they could be a linguist, a tough leader, a good shot, all kinds of stuff. You could even generate some new creatures. So they could be anything from a plant person, a tentacle monster, a jelly creature, dimension creature, a bear, all kinds of stuff. And their special characteristics. So they could be discreet, they could be a wild beast, they could be frightening or invisible, they could be impossible, have supernatural strength, tenacious, covered in metal, and some of them will have more than one special characteristic as well. An important rule in Tales from the Loop and Things from the Flood role-playing world is that it is you as game master and your gaming group that sets the framework for what you want to experience during these alternative 80s and 90s. You decide which tone, which genre, and how mundane, amazing, or supernatural you want the mystery of the Loop's world to be. So then we close once again with a mixed CD of mysteries. So these are based on classic songs from the 90s. So this is the year where I really kind of came of age. I was born in the 80s, but don't remember much of it. So most of my youth was in the 90s. So Love Fool by the Cardigans. That's a real earworm, that one. Nirvana, TLC, Waterfalls, Rage Against the Machine, Pulp, Blur, Salt and Pepper, and Bjork. That's a fantastic list, by the way. And then we have little mini mysteries tied in with each of those classic songs from the 90s. I love that. So that's a nice add-on for fans of Things from the Flood. And here we have a very creepy scene of a guy about to shoot a teddy bear in the head. Don't know what's going on there, but I keep looking at these illustrations and I have to pause for a moment and think, what the hell is going on? They suck you in. The atmosphere is just so unusual. Yeah, same here. I mean, we've got what seems to be a normal thing, two kids sneaking a kiss out in the countryside, but then you've got this odd-looking power generator. You know, there's wires and circuits all around them, glowing with this unearthly redness. Perhaps something is sort of leaking here. What is that? And there's a lot of questions raised by these images, which I just love. And, you know, we have these abandoned bits of machinery scattered about, remnants from the Loop. So there you go. That is the complete line of Tales from the Loop, and much to my surprise and joy, this book also includes elements that are useful for things from the Flood. So that is all around a great deal. And as usual, I'm thrilled with the overall quality of everything from Free League or Free League. I think it's nice to have a bonus copy of the map and dice, even though I'm unlikely to need them. I think the map in the starter set is much nicer quality, I will say that. The GM screen is beautiful as always, and I forgot to put this back in the box, but we'll do that later. Anyway, so that is Tales from the Loop. Role-playing in the 80s, it never was. Strong recommendation for me. I think get this, get things from the Flood as well. So if you want to introduce more elements of horror with more older kids, so that feel of like Stranger Things Season 1, then progressing into like where we are now in Season 4, with a lot more horror elements, personal horror, lots of risk of death and horrible things. There's a great progression there. It's built into the mechanics really smoothly, so you can jump from one system to the other with no trouble at all. And now you have Out of Time, which actually has adventures potentially usable in both systems, and adventure generators for both systems. So absolutely fantastic, Free League. Well done on all this stuff. If you guys have any questions about these, or any particular tips on how to run the game, or mysteries that you found particularly compelling or not compelling, just let me know in the comments. Love to hear your thoughts about these games, as always. Look forward to my third and final video in the series of the huge amount of money I've spent on Free League stuff over the last few weeks, which will be tomorrow, where we talk about the game Coriolis. So look forward to that. In the meantime, as usual, I hope you all are staying well and safe and enjoying yourselves. Look forward to seeing you in the next video, and take care, and I'll see you soon. Okay, bye-bye.